You know that bit at the end of a really good gig when the lights have gone down and the band have walked off stage, but the whole crowd is all just still in the moment, chanting and willing the band back out on stage for an encore? Well, if the Isle of Man TT Races is the main gig, this Manx Grand Prix is the encore that we all want. The Manx Grand Prix is different. These guys and girls aren't here to play the modern stuff that they hope we'll all like. They're here to bang out the stone-cold classics, the stuff that will drive us all crazy and give us all something to remember. We can expect to see pretty much every variation of engine configuration spanning 7 decades of production. McGuinness, Dunlop, Rutter, Locker, Johnson & Johnson, Harrison and Hillier. The Manx Grand Prix is a star-studded road racing celebration with big names and beautiful bikes, along with some new faces hoping to add their names to the tally of Manx Grand Prix winners. So let's start with the classes. There are 5 races that happen here, and each night of this show that we'll bring you, we'll go into detail a little bit more on all of them, so by the end of the week, we all understand what the Manx Grand Prix is all about. The first one is a junior race, which is now running to Super Twin regulations. The next race to think about is the senior, which is effectively running to Super Sport regulations. And we've got a classic superbike race. The cut-off date for that is the 31st of December 1996, so as long as it was made before then, it's eligible for that race. And then the final race to talk about is the Senior Classic, which is all of the old stuff plus the patents. So, quite an assault on my senses today. 2-stroke noise, that Norton, waited a long time to hear that thing going at it rather than watching videos on YouTube. Unfortunately for any of you that don't ever get the chance to come here, you're not going to get that sense that I got today on the start line. That was pretty trick. Classic bikes lined up with old 252 strokes, lined up with kind of retro superbikes. There's so much to take in. I did spend the day working on Manx radio, but I did take a couple of minutes to just sneak off on my own and take a moment to just take all these things in. Like I say, it's a little bit of a sensory overload. In terms of lap times, there's a couple of highlights. I certainly didn't expect to see a 120-mile-an-hour lap on the first day, and we ended up getting 2. Rob Hodson and Brian McCormack in the classic superbike class. And then there's John McGuinness, good old John McGuinness on the Winfield pattern, banging in a 109-mile-an-hour lap. That was another highlight. Nice to see him smiling. Another highlight for me was Mick O'Sweeney's journey back to the paddock. There's no other race event in the world where a racer can break down, park his bike against somebody's garden wall, go through their house, have an old lady put a couple of bin bags over his legs for what's to come, send him over 2 garden walls, make him climb into and across a river just so that he can get out on the other side and make his way back to the paddock. MotoGP, this is not. Another highlight for me, Stephen Smith in the senior class. He did a 1:18.8. Bearing in mind this is day 1 of practice, and the lap record in that class is like a 1:21, I think. So he's not too far away from lap record pace on the first day of practice. I think it's fair to say that we shouldn't get too excited and carried away with these lap times and numbers. It is only day 1, and the numbers are going to go up and up each week as long as we've got the weather. Something else that caught my eye today, a plug chop. Not just any old plug chop, but a Michael Dunlop spec plug chop. Banging down here on his little 250, absolutely flat out, whips the clutch in, knowing that when they get the bike back to the garage, they've got to strip that thing down, and the motor will tell that team a story that helps them find power and speed later on in the week. I kind of get the feeling I don't need to tell you to like this stuff. I'm pretty sure you're going to anyway. Tomorrow is an evening practice and qualifying session, so I'll see you then, race fans.